Hey, welcome back everyone. My name's Harry Dowling and you're listening to another episode of Harry's Half Hour on the Dude What podcast. I was going to say network then. No, we're not quite a network yet. On the Dude What podcast platform, I guess. Makes more sense. But yeah, as I said, my name's Harry and unfortunately I'm really not very well at the minute. Nothing COVID related, just woke up this morning with a hell of a cold, which got worse throughout the day, and that's the reason why I probably sound pretty bad at the moment. So, while I usually aim for these episodes to be half an hour, there's a good chance that this one might be a bit shorter because I am struggling. So, hopefully you've listened to the 3 episodes before this and you sort of get the gist of this now. Basically, this podcast is just me talking about my favourite sort of entertainment news stories that happened in the last week. I record these on a Thursday, so it's like Thursday to Thursday. News stories, basically. There's a few this week. I'm probably going to go pretty fast because, as I said, I'm struggling and, you know, it's going to be a hell of a pain to edit out every single sniff and sneeze and, you know, all that stuff. So I'm going to go through them pretty fast. To start off this week, we've got some pretty big music news. At about 4 o'clock, maybe half 4, today actually, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who you probably know as like one of my favourite bands ever, they announced their World Stadium Tour dates. Now, bit disappointing. I think a lot of people were hoping for a lot of dates. Unfortunately, there's only like 3 in the UK. You've got Manchester, London and Glasgow. No Birmingham. Birmingham is usually on most sort of, you know, it's on most like heavy metal bands and heavy hard rock, that sort of thing, but it's usually on most big bands tour, you know, venue sort of locations when they tour. So, and unfortunately, it's sort of the easiest for me to get to, which is a little bit of a pain. But I do have friends down London way, friends, family, so I think we're going to try and go for the London tickets, London dates. Only one day as well, so it's going to be pretty mad. I reckon they're going to sell out. I reckon they're going to go for a lot of money. Also, according to Ticketmaster, I don't know if it's a little bit of a leak or something, but according to Ticketmaster, there's a little bit underneath where you can sort of have a look at the tickets. It says that the Chili Peas' new album, which we currently know nothing about, there's no singles or anything like that, will be available for pre-order from tomorrow. Nothing's been announced, as I said, so it means that tomorrow, Friday, 8th of October, when this episode comes out, we're going to have a Chili Pepper album announced. Can't wait, it's going to be amazing. I'm sure I'll talk about it on next week's Harry's Half Hour. Other music news, one of my favourite bands, Ghost, just released a new single, and it sort of ties nicely in with the rest of the, you know, what I talk about on this, because it's actually a single for the new film Halloween Kills, which I did do a pretty big segment about last time, but actually was pretty bad and full of a lot of incorrect information, so I ended up cutting it. Talking about last week's episode, it reminds me, I listened to it back, and unfortunately, there's like massively long pauses in it. I didn't realise those were there when I was editing it, so sorry for everyone who listened to it and was like, what the hell, why has he stopped talking for like a minute and then started talking again as if nothing's happened. Kind of weird. Hopefully it doesn't happen with this episode. But yeah, the track by Ghost is called Hunter's Moon. It's pretty good. If you don't know who Ghost are, they are one of those bands that look like they're going to be way too heavy. You know, the lead singer is dressed up as a sort of anti-pope with skull makeup. Everybody looks like they are an absolute badass, but actually if you listen to them, it's just like heavy ABBA. Some of the tracks aren't even heavy, like hard ABBA. Really, really cool. I know I may be a little bit, what's the word? You know, I talk about bands and music and films and things that I love, and not necessarily just in the mainstream that everybody loves, but hey, this is Harry's goddamn half hour, so I'm going to talk about shit I love, everybody. So yeah, Ghost, new track, called Hunter's Moon, check it the hell out, really cool. Movie news now. I see that apparently overseas, and maybe even here, I don't know when it came out, Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, is doing pretty well. Actually, it's doing much better than people anticipated. The first Venom, to me, was sort of a letdown, bit lackluster, and the previous sort of box office showed that as well. It just wasn't that good, which is a shame because you got Tom Hardy in it. But yeah, really not that great. But apparently this second one's pretty good. I think I'm going to skip it at the cinema and, yeah, just wait for it to come to streaming, on-demand services, or whatever. But yeah, Venom 2. If you've seen it, or you're going to see it, let me know. Send an email to dudewhatpodcast@gmail.com. Maybe put the tagline as like Harry's Half Hour, or something like that. Just so I can sort of separate it from the other Dude What Podcast emails. That'd be cool. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know if it's worth watching. If Tom Hardy is good in it. Because I actually thought that he was pretty crap in the first one. Didn't like his accent. I don't think he's a crap actor. I think he just had crap direction. So, yeah, hopefully this one's good. Hotel Transylvania 4, which is the latest in a series that I don't think I've ever seen any of, actually. I know it's got Adam Sandler and a group of other talented voice actors and actors in it. It's been given a release date. It's coming out on January 14th, and it's going to be exclusive to Amazon Prime. I don't know if you have Prime. I actually much prefer it to Netflix and anything else at the moment, actually. I think that Netflix has much better sort of originals and things like that, and movies. But you can bet that if you search for something on Prime, you will find it. A little bit annoying because you will find it on Prime, and then there's a good chance that it's like, yeah, you can rent it for like £4, and you're sort of like, well, no, what the hell? Like, I don't want to pay for Prime and then pay on top of that. So that's a little annoying. But they have so much more than Netflix, in my opinion. And that's not me selling out to Amazon or anything, because usually I'm pretty sort of anti-Prime, actually. I didn't use it for a long time. I thought that their own shows and that were all pretty crap. Netflix, as I said, do have all the better originals. But yeah, Amazon Prime. Got a lot of good stuff on there. There was a little bit of new Lord of the Rings news, actually. I know I bring up Lord of the Rings a whole lot on Harry's Half Hour. It's because I love it. If you're talking fantasy, nothing beats it. It's just so good. But, that's just my opinion. You might not like it. I know a lot of people that actually really don't like it at all and much prefer the sort of Game of Thronesy sort of thing. A point which we will come back to, actually, in a few minutes. But yeah, somebody, let me just pull this up so I can try and get some legit information for you and not just wing it and end up having to cut out a massive segment because I'm just talking out my ass. Yeah, somebody by the name of Daniel Richtman, a supposed sort of insider in Hollywood, has said that apparently, along with the upcoming Lord of the Rings series, which is being released like September 22nd next year or something like that, there is also a new Lord of the Rings film in the works. Now, a lot of people, when you talk about a new Lord of the Rings film, will be like, no, because they just got it so good with the originals. And, it sort of shows it. It dominated the box office when it came out. It got a hell of a lot of Academy Awards and stuff like that. So it just sort of shows that, like, you shouldn't try and remake it. Of course they will in a few years, probably, because they remake all things, and it's like coming up on 20 years old. But yeah, apparently they're developing a new Lord of the Rings film. However, nothing to do with like the actual, any of the previous films been. Apparently, this new film will focus on the Fall of Morgoth. Now, if you're not into your Lord of the Rings, Morgoth is basically like if you're not into Lord of the Rings, if you're into Lord of the Rings but you're not into the sort of wider lore, like the Silmarillion and all that sort of stuff, because, hey, it does get pretty crazy. Like, the lore is pretty extreme, so it's sort of fair enough if you haven't read everything. But Morgoth is essentially like a proto-Sauron. He's the big bad of the First Age or the Second Age. Don't quote me on that. I don't fully know it all, but yeah, he's sort of like the big bad guy, and But as I say, this shouldn't be taken as gospel because it's literally just... I mean, I can't even remember what I saw this on. I think I saw this on WeGotThisCovered.com, and you can't all... Like, you got to take what they say with a pinch of salt. They put out a lot of stuff. Some of it's legit. Some of it's just straight up crap. Like they've probably just made it up on the spot. But yeah, this guy Daniel Rickman, apparently discussions have taken place about a new Lord of the Rings film. I actually really hope that they do it, because I would love more stuff set in Middle-earth. Of course, you'd have to let Peter Jackson direct it, or at least produce it, and let him have a hand in it, because he obviously shaped Middle-earth. Speaking of Middle-earth, I don't know if I mentioned it in a previous episode, I think I did, but a lot of people are really pissed off that the Lord of the Rings TV show is now filming in Wales as opposed to New Zealand. Like, obviously Wales is probably the next best place because it has that same look to the landscape, but hey, like, Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth is New Zealand, isn't it? It's sort of, they go hand in hand. So, yeah, a lot of people are pissed off about that. That's like an ongoing story. By the way, I am sorry if this episode seems very, like, choppy. I'm having to literally blow my nose every, 30 seconds or so. I'm very ill. I probably shouldn't be doing this. I probably sound really bad. I also have, me and Tomo are recording an episode tomorrow night. So that's going to be fun. I'll have my Lemsips, and hopefully I will be good for then, and I won't be sounding absolutely awful. So yeah, apologies for that, everybody. Something else, actually, I did mean to mention. Another bit of Lord of the Rings movie sort of news came out the other day, and that is, apparently, one of the orcs, I believe it's in the scene where Merry and Pippin have been captured and the orcs are trying to, like, transport them back to Isengard, but one of the orcs is like, they need their grog or something like that. I can't quite remember. Apparently, according to Elijah Wood, who recently spoke to actor and podcaster Dax Shepard on his podcast, the Armchair Expert podcast, he said that while he was on the Friendship Onion podcast, which is actually a podcast by Dom Monaghan and Billy Boyd, who did play Pippin and Merry in the Lord of the Rings films. If you haven't listened to that, by the way, you should check out that podcast. It's absolutely fantastic. It's like so wholesome and just great listening. But Elijah Wood has said that in that podcast, he spoke to Billy and Dom about there being a orc that was modelled after Harvey Weinstein. Now, this was done as a bit of a, middle fingers, but as a bit of a middle finger to Weinstein, as when Peter Jackson was trying to get the movie greenlit, he sort of took the script to everywhere, and nobody would go for it. Everyone thought it was too big a challenge. I think because they said they wanted to film, the 3 films back to back, which at the time was an absolutely mammoth task. Eventually, New Line Cinema, though, did come round, thankfully, and the film got made. But apparently, he says that apparently this was actually Sean Astin that said this, who played Samwise Gamgee. He said that he remembers going into the Weta workshop, Weta being the place that made all the effects and things. He said he went into the Weta workshop and remembered seeing a mould of a face that definitely looked like Harvey Weinstein. Obviously, we all know what happened with him. If you don't, look it up. I'm not going into that now. It's a huge thing. But yeah, that dude is like in prison or something now. Exactly where he should be. The last little bit of news today, and unfortunately, as I said, this is a short episode. I think we're probably only coming in at about 15 minutes. So this is like Harry's half hour. The last little bit of news is some video game news. It was leaked by a Korean website and then to Kotaku, which is sort of one of these big sort of gaming news websites. It was leaked that there is in fact going to be a GTA Trilogy Remaster. I think they leaked a few screenshots of some of the character models, which look pretty cool. A lot of people have been sort of suspecting that it's going to happen because GTA 6 appears to be sort of a long way off still. Rockstar are just constantly releasing GTA 5, which is getting really annoying now because that game came out in 2013. It's 2021 now, so like, come on, give us GTA 6. But apparently they are releasing a trilogy remaster, which is going to be GTA 3 through to Vice City and... Wow, I totally can't remember the other one. I don't think it's going to be San Andreas. Well, maybe it will be. But, yeah, they're doing a trilogy remaster. And if some of the sort of screenshots are to be believed, it looks pretty good. I may have to invest in that. Hopefully they don't charge a ridiculous amount, because I really like it when these companies, they do like a remaster of an old game and they charge like maybe £20. Granted, there are going to be 3 games, so maybe they will charge full price for this one. So everybody, going back to that Game of Thrones thing that I mentioned earlier, a trailer for the Game of Thrones prequel series has come out. It's called House of the Dragon. I think we all sort of suspected that it was going to be called that. And yeah, it's set 200 years before the main Game of Thrones is, and it is based on the Targaryens. They're the ones with the long white hair, who are called the dragons and things. I don't know. I mean, I watched Game of Thrones, but I wasn't that into it. I only actually really enjoyed a few of the episodes, and they were from the season that everyone said was crap. I love the Battle of the Bastards and the Battle of Winterfell. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, this looks pretty good. It's got a lot of people with long white hair. I can't remember when it comes out, but you should definitely check out that trailer. Just YouTube House of the Dragon. It looks pretty dope. I think we've come to the end of Harry's Half Hour. I've sort of blasted through all of my points incredibly fast. Sorry if I'm talking really fast, and sorry if I sound like shit. As I said before, I'm really not very well. So what I'm going to do now is probably go and have a nice long bath, have a bit of dinner, get my feet up, maybe watch a film. Last night I watched Tremors for the first time. Put it off for a long time, but this month, it's obviously October, it's Spooktober. I felt like getting in the mood. There will be an announcement on the Dude What page about what we might do this month. But yeah, I felt like watching something creepy, and I watched Tremors, and I loved it, so I've got Tremors 2 ready to go. So I'm going to just relax, and I'm going to watch Tremors 2, and maybe have some dinner. So yeah, that's basically my evening. Anyway, thank you so much to everyone who is listening to this podcast. You should also, really take care of yourselves. As I said, times are crazy. Thankfully, this sort of fuel problem in the UK at the moment is dying down, unless you live in London, that is. But yeah, just take care of yourself. Look after yourselves. You get one life. Don't do anything stupid. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to end it on a positive note for everyone. You should know that me and Tomo love you all. We love everyone that listens to the podcast. Recently, we've seen that numbers have been sort of dropping. We've seen that more people are tuning into the Harry's Half Hour than are actually tuning into the main podcast. But it's not disheartening us. We love doing it. I've said before, we love doing it because it means we get to hang out. And, for that one person that might listen to the podcast all the way through, thank you. We really appreciate it. One thing that would be really cool, actually, and we haven't mentioned it thus far, I probably will do in the next Dude What, is if you could obviously like us, share us, all that stuff, but leave us a review. That really helps. I mean, hey, I would say, drop 5 stars on us, but even if you leave us like a 1-star review, a review's a review. Hopefully you don't leave us a 1-star, but, the more people talking about us, the better. So, everyone, I'm going to leave it there because I'm struggling to hell. So, take it easy. One love. Peace. See you later. I'm out.